Black Markets Kids Ran in Their Schools Part 27. Another follower submission. Where he went to school, they had this thing called Food Dudes. Students were given 2 bags of fruits and vegetables just like these. And if they ate both bags and brought the teachers the empty bags, they would get a prize. Well, nobody wanted to do it. So one kid was like, hey, I'll eat the fruits and vegetables for you and give you the empty bags back for just $1 a bag. So kids would do it. They would give him the fruits and vegetables, he would eat it, he would give them the bags, and then they would get the prizes. This kid made about $30 a day. Well, a couple months later, some teachers noticed a terrible smell coming from the library. Turns out this kid was not eating the fruits and vegetables. He was putting them in a cardboard box and hiding them somewhere in the library. And apparently it smelled like death. Black Markets Kids Ran in Their Schools. A follower submission. Alright, so this one really isn't a black market, but it's pretty interesting, so listen up. When this kid was in 6th grade, he drew $1 on a piece of paper and named it after himself. He wrote Bill Bucks on the dollar. And then, again, as a joke, he gave it to his friend. Fast forward a couple days, and his friend makes hundreds of copies of these Bill Bucks and gives it back to Bill. They both laugh. It's a funny joke. And then he forgets all the copies on his desk and leaves class. A couple of weeks go by and he completely forgot about this situation. Until one day, he's walking down the hallway and he sees a kid buying something from another kid using his Bill Bucks. Apparently, Bill Bucks became an actual currency at this school. Kids were using them to buy stuff or sell stuff to get more Bill Bucks. The teachers even thought it was cute. So they started letting kids use Bill Bucks to buy school supplies from their classrooms. He told me he went from nobody knowing him to being the most popular kid in school. Just by accident. Black Markets Kids Ran in Their Schools. A follower submission. When this person was in 4th grade, everybody seemed to love erasable colored pencils. I guess there's just something about them. You could buy a 12-pack of these pencils for $3 at Target. So one kid in the class got an idea. He went to Target with his parents and bought tons of these colored pencil packs and sold them for 50 cents a pencil. So $3 for 12 pencils at Target, selling 12 pencils for 50 cents each. Do the math, it's $6. $3 profit. Anyway, business was booming, and he was making tons of money until one day, one of the 2nd grade teachers caught him and another student doing a deal behind the school, and that's when it all stopped. He made about $1,900. Did he keep it, you ask? No. His mom found the money in his sock drawer and took all of it. My favorite comebacks, part 7. Let's dive right in.
Here she comes, man. Go for it.
All right, bro. Wish me luck. Hey, Claire, I was wondering if you possibly wanted to go to the dance with me. Yeah, no. Oh, okay. Why do all the weird people always ask me out? I'm a catch. Yeah, catch and release. She's way out of your league, loser. Watch your mouth. Hey, man, were you born on a highway? What is that even supposed to mean? I just assumed you were, since that's where most accidents happen. Shut up, man. I obviously look just like Pablo Escobar. I only look like Ron Jeremy because of my mustache. Here's me as Ron Jeremy. And here is me as Pablo Escobar. I'm gonna go with Pablo Escobar on this. Things people could have done a better job at. Not making this dog toy look like a, homemade jam. And it tastes like grandma? Awesome. This is the price for a bar of fudge. But why'd you have to name the fudge Welsh Lady Ass Fudge? Yay, a Santa chocolate bar. Nope, it's the Easter Bunny, and I think he's into murder. And this one. Everybody loves shrimp-flavored crack. Do you like cats? Send this to somebody that you know loves cats, okay? Alright, now that my cat lovers are here, I have a question. I'm gonna show you a video of a cat, and I wanna know, does this cat make you uncomfortable? Worst toy designs of all time, part 13. The toy behind me is a squirt gun, made by a company called Kids Stuff. But like, who did this? It's called the Finger Squirter, and it looks like this. Double shot, great fun, it says. An innocent squirt gun, or a terribly inappropriate toy. Most dangerous toys of all time. This is an Easy Bake Oven. And in 2007, 1 million of these were recalls because tons of kids were getting their hands and fingers stuck in this entrance part right here. And because this thing gets so hot, there were tons of kids that got 2nd and 3rd degree burns. And one person was burned so bad, they had to cut her finger off. Send this video to somebody that likes to dress nice. Hi, I'm gonna show you a picture of dudes wearing pants at a fashion show. Apparently, these are all the rage. And I wanna know, would you wear these pants? Black Markets Kids Ran in Their Schools. A follower submission. Before school every day, this kid's mom would take him and his brothers to a bagel shop to buy bagels. Well, he was hungry, so he bought 3. He ate one and brought the other 2 to school. When he got to school, one of his friends asked him for one of his bagels. He said, sure. for $3. And then later that day, another person asked him for the other bagel, and he said, sure, for $3. And that's how it started. He started buying 5 bagels every morning, bringing them to school and selling the bagels for $3 a piece. Keep in mind, he only bought those bagels for $1.50 at the store. A couple weeks later, he brought some leftover pizza to school, and he sold the pizza for $7 a slice. So now he's bringing a bunch of bagels and a bunch of pizza to school every single day and selling out. One day, the security guard asked him why he was carrying a bunch of pizzas into school. So he told him, and the security guard was going to tell the principal, until our boy offered him 10% of the profits to keep his mouth shut. Over the course of 3 years, he made $21,000. One day, some kid that had a beef with him told the principal everything. So his business was shut down and the security guard was fired. Things that are just completely messed up. Apparently, Fisher-Price once released a happy hour playset. It's a bar that includes fake bottles of beer. What were they thinking? Whoever made this soap dispenser needs to go to a doctor. Why does it say ketchup? And why are there grapes on there? It just doesn't make any sense. These treats say Happy Valentine's Day. But if you zoom in on just one of them, it says PP Tiny. And this terrible Target fitting room disaster. This one speaks for itself. Real-life simulation glitches. This person went to a bar and saw this lady wearing the same shirt as him. Then 10 minutes later, this guy walks in, and he's wearing the same shirt as well. A person caught this on the subway. Those two people look identical. The lizard on this guy's shirt is the exact same as this lady's tattoo. How does that even happen? This kid went to get his vaccine, and he ran into himself from the future. That's really crazy. Black markets kids ran in their schools. Follower submission. This kid went to high school in Honduras, and his business was that he ran a sports book. So he had a cousin who had an account, and he began sports betting when he was in 9th grade. Well, people at his school found out he was betting, and started to ask him to place bets for them. So he started the business. He charged everybody 5% of all bets in, and he would get 5% of their winnings. Business was booming. He was making absolutely bank, especially during soccer season. Over the course of that year, he made $1,500. Unfortunately, one kid lost $300 on a bet, and he blamed our dude, so he snitched. Our guy was then taken to the principal's office, his parents were called, and he got a 3-day suspension. He didn't snitch on anybody else that was involved, and he said the best part was that his dad was incredibly proud of him. Gotta respect the hustle. Can somebody please tell me how this works? These are the same images, except one is flipped upside down. That says 3, that says 2. Now you right now, flip your phone upside down and see what I mean. I can't figure it out. Black markets kids ran in their schools. When this guy was in school, every week he would buy all types of gum for super cheap from his local gas station. And how his business worked is that he advertised it as a certain type of subscription service. Kids would pay him $5 a week, and he would give them 3 pieces of gum every single day. And like I said, he always had different types of gum, so they can get any type of gum they wanted. 3 pieces every day. But business was booming. Tons of people loved this subscription service, and $5 a week is not bad. In 2 months, this guy made $400. But his business was shut down when one of his customers stopped buying from him and snitched on him for no reason. Shame, shame. Black markets kids ran in their schools. When this kid was in middle school, he lived out in the country, and he used to sell pretty much anything. Gum, fruit, candy bars, you name it. But his biggest seller one season was tadpoles. At the time, his cousin was a baby, so he would collect all of his cousin's empty baby food jars, clean them out, and go to the pond near his house. He would then put water, some rocks, algae in there, and 3 to 5 baby tadpoles. He would then poke holes in the lid and bring them to school. He sold his little tadpole habitats for $1 each. The tadpole containers came with instructions on how to care for the tadpoles and fish food. Business was booming. Tons of kids were buying these. Well, his business was shut down one day when a customer of his put the tadpoles in his sister's drink, and his sister snitched. That's nuts. George Weasley grew up to be Willy Wonka. Hear me out. George grew up, and as a continuation to his store, Weasley Wizard Wheezes, he decided to open up a chocolate factory. And the Oompa Loompas are versions of house elves. Now he lives there alone because he lost the person closest to him, his twin. And that's why everything in his office is cut in half, because he's missing his other half. I can see it. Did this wife go too far, or was she in the right? Her 35-year-old husband one year picked up the habit of talking like a toddler. At first, she said it was amusing, but it got old and cringy very fast. Some words he would say is pibble, hootie boy, sammy whammy, meow meow, chicky tendies, and chicky nuggies. Well, one day, her and her husband were out to dinner with their 2 friends, and when the server asked him what he wanted to eat, he said, "I want chicky Sammy," and she was embarrassed. After that, she refused to bring him to adult gatherings or parties, worries in fear of him embarrassing her again. Well, she hit her limit one day when they were shopping. Everything seemed normal until he gasped and said, "Ice cream! Ice cream! I want chocolate!" People were staring, and she was mortified again. He then looked at her and said, "Can we get popsicles?" To which she responded, "Either talk to me like an adult or I'm going to leave." He told her, "Lighten up," and she said, "Screw it," and left the store, leaving her husband to walk a mile home. A terrifying commercial from Japan. The commercial you're about to see is from Autoway Tires, a tire company. And I'm warning you right now, this might freak you out. If you watch the whole thing without hiding in the comments, let me know and tag a few friends. Here it is. Black markets kids ran in their schools. This person went to a very conservative Christian middle school, and Harry Potter books and books like Harry Potter were banned. Well, tons of kids wanted to read them, but the school and their parents wouldn't let them. Well, this one kid had tons of Harry Potter books at his house, and he had a great idea. He started selling them secretly at school. Anytime he went to a thrift store, he would look around to see if they had any Harry Potter books, and if they did, he'd buy it for super cheap. He was selling these for $10 a book, and business was booming. Over the course of a year and a half, he made around $200, which is not bad. But the school found out about him doing this, and he got suspended for a week. That's insane. Black markets kids used to run in their schools, part 5. This one happened at a high school. One student before school every day for 2.5 years would go to Chick-fil-A and pick up chicken biscuits. He started by picking up 20 a day, but they would always sell out. Then he upped it to 50 a day and still sell out. Eventually, he was picking up 100 chicken biscuits a day and selling out every time. Other students would get to school super early just to buy these. And over those 2.5 years of him doing this, he made about $30,000. Black markets kids used to run in their schools, part 1. A teacher posted this story on the internet. At the school she used to teach at, the cafeteria did not season any food, so everything tasted bland. Well, one kid got a brilliant idea. He would buy bags of salt and pepper packets and sell them to kids in the cafeteria. He charged 50 cents for one salt and one pepper and made hundreds of dollars in his first month. But then the school shut him down, and kids went back to eating bland cafeteria food. Black markets kids ran in their schools. This person was a part of a club that met every day during lunch, and oftentimes the club would order a bunch of pizzas. Well, a couple of kids in the club would take a few of those pizzas and sell them to other students for $1 a slice. Well, the cafeteria didn't like this. They said this pizza business was keeping students from buying the school's lunch, and they said they were losing money. They tried threatening students that didn't buy lunches with detention, and they tried banning people from bringing lunches from home. The parents obviously didn't like this. The students then boycotted the cafeteria, and everyone refused to buy any lunches until the school got rid of the pizza ban. And it worked. The way this video is put together makes it seem like that one guy's quick choke put this other guy in a stretcher. And honestly, this video is pretty hilarious. But this is what really happened. It was a soccer game between Cadiz and Granada, and the neck part happened earlier in the game, and the guy was fine. But the stretcher thing happened later, from an actual injury. Was this guy petty for what he did? A couple nights ago, him and a few of his college friends went to a pizza place, and they ordered a bunch of different pizzas. They didn't know this, but every single pizza came with a cup of garlic. None of them liked garlic, so they asked the server if they could get cups of ranch instead. She said she wouldn't be able to exchange the garlic cups for ranch, but if they want to, they could buy ranch for $1 a cup. Well, they weren't about to pay $10 for ranch, so they told her to forget about it. And the restaurant manager, who overheard them, said, "Shit ain't free, boys." Well, this guy was kind of upset by that, so he got up and walked to the Walgreens across the street, bought a big bottle of ranch, and brought it back to the restaurant. His friends were kind of upset. They said the owner gave him a dirty look when he came back in, and they told him he was being petty and uptight. He said, "Fine. If you're that upset by this, keep your hands off my ranch." Well, they must not have been that upset, because after about 30 seconds, this ranch was being passed around the table. Things my old carnival job taught me about carnivals part 5. Ah yes, the milk bottle game. People like this one, it's popular. Everyone always says they have a hard time getting all the bottles down at once. There's a reason for it. It turns out that most carnivals fill the bottom 3 bottles with lead or sand, making them extra heavy, which is why when you throw a ball at these, the top ones usually fall down and the bottom ones stay up. How do you win, you ask? Well, the best way is to throw the ball as hard as you can at the bottom row. If you can knock down those 3 bottom ones, you're golden snitch. Things my old carnival job taught me about carnivals part 11. They want people to think the games are easy, and that they have a really good chance of winning. I especially learned this one day. I was playing the basketball game, which, as I mentioned, the rims are oval-shaped and the balls are extra inflated. Anyway, I was playing it, and I was doing terribly. My boss came over to me and said, "Stop playing the games, making them look hard. You need them to think that they're easy." So I had to stop playing the basketball game. And it was a slow day too, so I was bored the rest of the day. Worst toy designs of all time, part 6. What you're about to see is an action figure set. It's Batman and Robin, and they look like they come with things they can put in their hands. But without those things in their hands, this set looks a little sus. See for yourself. Black markets kids ran in their schools. This one's kind of different. At this person's elementary school, basically all the kids used metallic ends of pencils as currency. Green was the most common, so it was the least valuable. Bronze was the rarest at their school, so that was the most valuable. They traded these metallic pencil ends for fancy erasers, pencil cases, or for a spot up in the Foursquare line. The school eventually banned this, but these kids still operated. Groups of people were acting as banks to keep the currency hidden and to keep the transactions private. That's pretty sophisticated. Should she come clean to her family or keep this secret going? Around 20 years ago, when she was young, her mom introduced her and her sister to household chores. Well, she quickly realized that she hated doing the dishes. Well, one day while doing them, she found out that if she made the water hot and left her hands under the water, that her hands would become very red. And this is what gave her the idea. She went to her mom and complained, asking her why her hands are red from doing the dishes. Her mom said she must be slightly allergic to dish soap, and that she probably shouldn't be doing the dishes anymore. Well, fast forward 20 years and her family still believes this. At Christmas, Thanksgiving, family gatherings, she's never asked to do dishes, and she never does the dishes, because her family still believes that she's allergic to dish soap. At this point, does she just keep the story going, or come clean? What do you think? Who is the asshole in this situation? This wife and her husband every year celebrate Thanksgiving at his family's house and Christmas at her family's house. They would have everybody be together for the holidays, but recently there's been a bit of tension between the two families. So this is what they do. She's a vegetarian, so at every family dinner she brings her own food, and his family always cracks jokes about it. Another issue she has is that ever since she's had her daughter, they ask her to sit at the kids' table. Well, this year, her family is celebrating Thanksgiving at their lake house about an hour away, so she tells her husband that she and her daughter are going to the lake house this year to celebrate Thanksgiving. Her husband gets upset and says, "What? Why? My mom is making a vegetarian meal just for you this year." And she says, "I'm going to the lake house for Thanksgiving and you can't change my mind." Her husband's mom then calls her and yells at her, saying that she hurt her husband's feelings. And now her husband is saying that he's not celebrating Christmas with her family this year. What do you think? These guys definitely don't know how to drive. I'm going to show you a video. It's a guy and his friend driving a U-Haul truck. Right here, it looks like they're driving into a parking garage of some sort. And at first try, they obviously don't fit. But that doesn't stop them. They back up and they try again. And it gets even worse. He steps out of the car to look at what's happening. There's smoke, and what looks to be sewage seeping from a pipe above. But again, does that stop him? No. They give it one more try, and they make it, and crash. Weirdest things people found in their new houses. When this person unscrewed their outlet cover, they realized it was fake and there's a safe behind it. That's actually pretty smart. After buying a house and going onto the roof, they saw this sculpture of a frog that was chained to the chimney. And I'd probably keep it chained up. You never know. Also, if you haven't already, go to the link in my bio and watch that YouTube video. It's a new project I'm doing. And if you watch and comment something nice, it would mean the world to me. And lastly, this bookshelf that opens up to an incredible secret room. I would love that in my house. Send this video to somebody that loves art. Hi. I'm gonna show you a picture. It's a sculpture. A statue, if you will. And the statue is a mother holding her baby. Although the baby is different. And I wanna know, does this make you uncomfortable? Worst things schools have ever done. In February of 2009, a school district just outside Philadelphia got in trouble for using laptop webcams to spy on students in their home. Blake Robbins was a sophomore at this time, and he was allowed to bring home a school-issued laptop for the night. Little did he know, the officials at his high school were spying on him with that laptop's webcam. Blake and his family found out about this privacy breach after the assistant principal at the school showed Blake pictures of himself himself in his room and confronted him for engaging in improper behavior in his home. Blake said the assistant principal accused him of selling drugs, but that was completely false. After the family accused the school of doing this, the school officials admitted that they had captured thousands of webcam photos and screenshots from the students' laptops in an effort to locate stolen computers. The school district was then sued, and they had to settle for $610,000. Black markets kids ran in their schools. When this kid was in high school, he was able to get his hands on an extra locker. And in that locker, he kept a portable coffee maker and a water boiler to make coffee and tea. And he would sell the tea to students. Everybody loved this, and business was booming. And at first, the teachers thought it was cute. But then they switched up. They said the school snack bar and cafeteria was losing money in coffee and tea sales, so he was no longer able to sell food or drinks. Well, this wouldn't stop him. These are the napkins the school would give away for free. So what he did was he got his hands on a bunch of these napkins, and he would sell the napkins to kids. But the thing is, if you bought a napkin, you would get a free coffee or tea. Nice little loophole there. The teachers were baffled and mad that they were outsmarted by the student. So they had the janitor bust open his locker and take his equipment, and that was it.
Day 3 selling chips at school.
Running away.
May 53.
Nice. The most depressing ending to a Tom and Jerry episode. Everybody knows Tom and Jerry. It's a lovely TV show featuring a cat and a mouse who are constantly fighting and chasing each other. Usually these episodes end in a funny, light-hearted way. But in 1956, in the last episode of Blue Cat Blues, something different happened. Tom and Jerry have given up on life, and they both sit by each other on a train track while we hear train horns coming from the distance. And they just sit there and wait for the train. See for yourself.
Day 6 selling chips.
Running away.
WTF.
Well done. Now tell me everything. Black markets a teacher ran in school. This one kid said that when he was in high school, there was a teacher that would take money from students and buy them lottery scratch-off tickets in exchange for a cut of any prize $50 or up. Well, by the time the student was a senior, this teacher had made over $1,000, and all the students loved him, so nobody snitched. I realized at a really young age that I could do it without using my hands. It was awesome. Every single time I did it, I didn't use my hands. And it got to the point where I decided I'd never have to use my hands again. I did it with things like shirts, silverware, globes, literally anything. And yeah, it changed my life. Worst toy designs of all time, part 9. This is Wolverine. Well, what you're about to see is one of those blow-up hammers you can win from a carnival. And it has Wolverine on it. There's the hammer, and there's where you blow it up. Come on. This was definitely on purpose. Black markets kids ran in their schools, part 10. This kid in high school was in the drama club, and the drama club had a microwave. Well, for Christmas he got a bacon rack that lets you cook bacon in the microwave. So he got an idea. Every day he brought tons of bacon to school, cooked it in the microwave in the drama room, and sold them for $1 a strip. Let's just say he was making bacon while making bacon. Black markets kids ran in their schools. Followers sent me this story about her brother. When he was in 7th grade, him and his friends were working a garage sale for one of the friends' grandpas. When the day was done, the grandpa said they can take anything they wanted from the garage sale to keep. Well, this dude picked a George Foreman grill. He decided he was going to start taking it to school. He would then use that grill every day to toast his sandwiches at lunch. And then he started doing it for his friends. And after a few weeks, everybody wanted their sandwiches toasted. So he had an idea. He would charge people $1 to toast their normal sandwich. So kids would come to lunch with their ordinary cold sandwich, give him $1, and he would toast it. Business was booming. Until one day his dad got a call from the school office saying he needs to come in. When he got there, he saw his son sitting in a chair with the grill on his lap. The principal said he could not be doing this anymore, and the George Foreman grill had to stay at home. Well, his dad challenged them. He asked them, where in the handbook does it say students can't grill sandwiches at lunch using a George Foreman grill? And they couldn't find it. So he was allowed to keep the grill at school. He made about $1,000. Until the next year, in the handbook, it said students can't toast sandwiches in a George Foreman grill. This kid's a legend. Worst toy designs of all time, part 12. What you're about to see is the packaging for a piano/mirror that's made for kids. The packaging shows a kid playing the piano, but something's just not right with this picture. Maybe it's her reflection in the mirror. That gives me the absolute creeps. See for yourself. This dude came into a lot of money, and the reason's actually pretty crazy. When he was 5 years old, he had an aunt that was basically excommunicated from the family, and he never knew the reason because he was so young. Well, apparently, she went on to marry this very old dude who was incredibly rich, and when he died, she inherited his fortune. Well, this guy was 23 years old when he found out his aunt had passed away. Well, she left him a letter, and in that letter, it said that he was her favorite, and that he was like the son she never had. And she also left him a check for $2.3 million. These are the weirdest life hacks. Crayons are flammable, and they'll provide an hour of candlelight if you light the top. That's pretty crazy. If you have the hiccups, eat a spoonful of peanut butter. They should go away very quick. And if your dog is ever barking at the vacuum, yell at the vacuum. Your dog will stop. Thank me later. Here are some tricks that might make your life easier. I don't know. When you ask someone a question and they give you a confusing or a rude answer, just stare at them in the eyes. Right in the eyes. They'll feel super uncomfortable and then have to re-explain themselves. Hopefully in a better way. If you're about to play rock, paper, scissors with somebody, ask your opponent a random question right before you start. It'll throw them off, and 9 times out of 10, they'll pick scissors first. Before you shake someone's hand, warm your hands up. Cold hands are linked to distrust. And if you ever feel like somebody is staring at you or watching you, make yourself yawn and then look around. If you see somebody else yawn, chances are they've been watching you for a while. Black markets kids ran in their schools, part 12. One of my followers sent this one in. When he was in middle school, him and his friend would sell hot peppers. They would sell them for $6 each. I know what you're thinking. Who would pay $6 for a hot pepper? Well, kids were buying and eating them to impress their friends and girls, and they were selling out every day. They noticed these kids were chugging waters after eating the peppers, so they got a new idea. They started selling milk cartons for $10 each. It's expensive, but the kids that had the money bought them every time because their mouths were on fire. He made $800 in 2 weeks, and then the principal shut him down. Black markets kids ran in their schools, a follower submission. When he was in 7th grade, he rented out his locker to another student for $15 a week. He liked how easy it was to make that money. And he soon got a brilliant idea. He would go up to other students that didn't really use their locker and he would buy their locker from them. He would then put his own lock on there and rent it out to another student. So he repeated this process tons of times. He kept a notebook with all the locker numbers on there and the combinations. And tons of students rented these lockers out for $15 a week. By the end of the year, he had almost 100 lockers, and he had made nearly $2,700. Coolest toys of all time, part 1. I found a super cool video on the internet, and it might be the coolest toy I've ever seen. So basically it's these two cars, right? Kind of like Hot Wheels. But what you do is you wind one car up and let it go towards the other car. And then when it hits the other car, something awesome happens. Check it out. Would you want this? Creepiest toys of all time. This toy was spotted on Facebook. Apparently a lady is making them and selling them. And I think it's absolutely horrifying. It's a human and deer hybrid baby doll. And I must ask you, would you want this toy? This woman fell off the side of a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. In 2018, while the Norwegian Star Cruise Line was in the middle of the ocean, a British woman fell off the side of the ship. And the worst part is, nobody saw it happen. Did she survive? Now before I finish this story, I want to tell you a secret. If you have less than 1,000 followers, you can't go live. But there's an app that will let you live stream and gain a huge fan base. All you gotta do is go click the link in my bio and download the first link. This one right there. It's called BeGo, and it can make you famous. The woman who fell was treading water for 10 hours before rescue boats came. She said the only reason she survived was because of the many yoga classes she took. She was able to control her breathing and stay afloat. Yoga may save your life.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze.
Black markets kids ran in their schools, part 18. This one is smart and simple. At this school, everybody loved banana chips, and they sold them at the vending machines for 25 cents a bag. Well, this person would get there early every single day and buy every single banana chip bag from the vending machines, and then sell them for 50 cents each. Every day they'd be sold out, and this person would be walking away with some serious profit. Weirdest toys of all time. The toy you're about to see was released in 1967. It's a doll called Drippy the Runny-Nosed Kid. He has an incredibly large nostril, and if you press his stomach, apparently snot comes out. He's strange, and with a name like Drippy, you think his fashion sense would be off the charts, but he doesn't look too fresh. Would you want this toy? This commercial creeps me out. It's a commercial for Orkin pest removal. and it shows a family coming home after a vacation and walking into their house. But they find two giant rats playing Guitar Hero on their TV. Just wait for it. These rats are definitely suspicious.
You. We're not supposed to be back until Sunday. We could use the boy. Yeah. On drums.
Worst toy designs of all time, part 3. This one isn't a toy, it's a balloon. It's a balloon of Baymax from the Big Hero 6 movie. But the location to blow up this balloon is oddly placed, and definitely inappropriate. See for yourself. Black markets kids ran in their schools. Follower submission. My follower sent me this story about somebody at his high school. Nobody actually knows his name and nobody has ever seen his face. What happens is a couple times per week, this guy shows up by one of the bathrooms wearing all black clothes and a black ski mask. And in his backpack, every day is about 15 McDoubles, which he sells to students for $3 each. This kid says business is always booming. Whenever this guy is spotted, word spreads fast. There are tons of people rushing to him in hopes to buy some McDoubles. He sells out every time he does this, and once that last burger is sold, he disappears, changes clothes, and takes off the ski mask. He's been doing this for 2 years, and like I said, no one has ever found out who he actually is. A father locked his daughter in his basement for over 20 years. Comments, like, and share this video with other true crime lovers. Sarah was about to turn 18, but that excitement came to a sudden end when her father, Don, locked her in the family's basement. He convinced his wife that she simply ran away, although she was in the basement the entire time. Over the course of those 20 years, he did unspeakable things to Sarah. She even had a few of his children. Children that he would bring upstairs and leave on his own doorstep, pretending that Sarah just dropped them off. But how'd the story end? Lifetime's new movie Girl in the Basement is based off these true events. Will you be watching? Black markets kids ran in their schools. A follower submission. A town that he lived and went to high school in only had one barbershop, and this barbershop was very expensive. Like, unreasonably expensive. So there was one kid in his school that knew how to cut hair, and he got an idea. He found out that there was a spare science room that nobody used. So one day he brought all of his hair equipment into school and started giving haircuts in the science room. He charged $8 a haircut, which is way less than the barbershop in town. Word spread and suddenly business was booming. Tons of kids were meeting either before school or after school in the science room to get a haircut. Well, at the end of school one day, a teacher went into the science room to grab something and saw tons of hair on the floor. And the next morning, the same teacher went back into the room and caught our dude getting ready to give haircuts. He was suspended for 1 week. He made around $800. Weirdest commercials of all time. The commercial you're about to see is for Levi jeans. And it shows a hamster running on a wheel. And then the wheel breaks. And then it gets very sad. See for yourself.
Kevin loved his room. But one day, it broke. Kevin grew bored and died.
Things my old carnival job taught me about carnivals part 10, the balloon pop game. It's fun and very popular. A little insight onto how this game works. We were taught to underinflate the balloons, which obviously makes them harder to pop. What you want to do when you play this game is look for the balloons that are shiny. Try to pop those. If they're shiny, it means they're more inflated. I once had a kid come in, he paid for the game, I gave him the darts, and then his friend distracted me. He sharpened the darts in the concrete, and then he crushed it. I was honestly impressed. An actual black market that was ran inside of an elementary school. This one was sent to me by one of my followers. Apparently, at his school, one morning, the entire school went into lockdown for about 3 hours, and nobody knew what was going on. People started seeing drug-sniffing dogs and police roaming the hallways in a frickin' elementary school. It was later found out that a bunch of 3rd graders had a drug ring where they sold cocaine and marijuana. Apparently, one kid's uncle just went to prison and told him to sell his drugs so they wouldn't go to waste. Craziest School Rules Part 1. When a teacher asks a question, the students are supposed to raise their hands if they want to answer it. Well, a school in England banned students from raising their hands. The school principal said that the reason for this was because the same hands were going up for every question, while other students would just sit there and possibly not participate. Now the teachers can call on anybody, and that student would have to answer the question, whether it be right or wrong. Parents say their kids are now nervous and scared to go to school.
তোমার এই অবস্থা কেলা?
আসলে আব্বা, ও আব্বা, আব্বা,
আচ্ছা যা হবার হয়েছে বুঝছো, সারাদিন যে ধকলটা গেছে গা। মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু,
আমি তো অনাথ হয়ে গেছি গে একেবারে, মনে করেন আমার বাপে আমারে।
এটা কেমন বাটপারি? হ্যাঁ, তোমার আব্বা না খুব কান্দানি, আমারে কইছিল কাশি খাওয়া।
সকাল সকাল তুমি পড়ছো চিল্লা কেমতে?
কি হয়েছে? হ্যাঁ, আরো থেকে অনেক পর দেখে দেখতেছি ফোনের পিছে লাগা রইছো।
বাজান তোরা আর একটা বুদ্ধি দিতাছি।
কি হয়েছে আব্বা? আবার কি?
আগে সব কথা হই না লই, তারপর তুই খালাসে যাবি। কবু মা
গেটে দুটো বার করে দিছিলাম।
ল তোর গাড়টি বুঝ ল। সারা জিন্দেগি আমগো খানদানের সবতে
মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু,
আমি তো অনাথ হয়ে গেছি গে একেবারে, মনে করেন আমার বাপে আমারে।
এটা কেমন বাটপারি? হ্যাঁ, তোমার আব্বা না খুব কান্দানি, আমারে কইছিল কাশি খাওয়া।
সকাল সকাল তুমি পড়ছো চিল্লা কেমতে?
কি হয়েছে? হ্যাঁ, আরো থেকে অনেক পর দেখে দেখতেছি ফোনের পিছে লাগা রইছো।
বাজান তোরা আর একটা বুদ্ধি দিতাছি।
কি হয়েছে আব্বা? আবার কি?
তুমি যদি একটা মাস পরে আইতা তাহলে দেখতা আমার আব্বাই আনাম খাসিটা পাকে তোমার সামনে রেখা দিত।
খানদান নাকি? খানদান কো চিনা লাগে নাকি? চোখ বন্ধ করে হারবার পাচ্ছি আয়া পড়ছি।
দরকার আছে, দরকার স্যার। আমি কি ফোনে কথা কই নাকি? এই খায় কি করতেছো? যাও না নিচে যাও।
কি হয়েছে? এই সব আমি পারুম না, আমার দরকার হলে ঘর।
আচ্ছা যা হবার হয়েছে বুঝছো, সারাদিন যে ধকলটা গেছে গা।
নিচে ঘুমা।
আজ নামনের বাসুর ভাই আপনি
আপনার ঘরে
তুমি তো আমার পিলার চমকাই দিচ্ছ বাবা।
কি যে কন্যা আব্বা, মাত্র তো আসমানের চাঁদ লাগো।
কিন্তু তুমি তো বিয়ার পর দিনই আইয়া হাজির, তো রসনটা একটু চেঞ্জ হয়েছে আর কি।
আসমানের চাঁদ লয়া এরকম বাসর ঘরে আহে, তখন রাজা বাচ্চা গোলা হান।
তুমি এই পোশাক কখনই চেঞ্জ করে আইবা, নালে কইলাম আমি তোমার আমার লগে থাকতে দিব না। আইসা আলগা খানদানি রেওয়াজ দেখে।
তোমার কত বড় সাহস, তুমি আমার মাথায় বাড়ি দিবা? এই আমি কি করছি? বাজান কি এইটা কাম করছে নি? আপনার মতো হীরার টুকরা একটা পোলারে লাথি দিয়ে বাইর করে দিচ্ছে।
দিমু একটা ঠুয়া, আমি পারুম না। এই বেটা এই আমগো খানদানে পূর্বপুরুষেরা
তো কি টিপে পড়লা?
লাগলে হেরাও টিপা দিমু। তুমি বরং আমার হাতটা ব্যথা করতেছে, হাতটা টিপা দাও।
আরে এখানে হান্দাবার লাগছস কে? একটু ওদিকে নে না। তোমার বিছানা আমি ভিজায়া দিছি গা।
এটা তুমি কি করছো?
কি করছি? ঘুমাইবা না? তোমার পূর্বপুরুষের মাথায় কি সমস্যা ছিল আব্বা?
নাটকের পর কয় কি শুনছো? ওই বেটা
আব্বা জান, আপনার পোলার এখন জিগান তো রুটি গরম না ঠান্ডা?
বাপ রে বাপ শুনছনি একেবারে ডর দেয় তো বলে কুচি কুচি করে কাটতো হয়েছে আপনার ডর আপনার পকেটে থুয়া দেন
খানদানটা আমার কত উচ্চা দেখতে হইব না
দেখতেছি তো উঁচা ভি আর লম্বা ভি